got going on the bank fast, didn't they?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's just like, bam, here we go.
It's big equipment for a small project.
Probably want to get footings in the ground before,
Well, they're gonna try and have it closed before winter.
that's smart.
Yeah.
Even by the school,
Yeah.
couldn't amazed how fast they got those precasts.
Those
Yeah.
precast go up in a hurry.
Yeah. Do we have a permit for that yet? Commercial,
Bank, oh yeah,
it's not even on the,
bank and school are.
it's not even on the list, man.
Should be. But. Not bad. That's been on there for months.
The school is, well, bank's not.
Oh, bank.
Oh, bank isn't, no.
Come on, man. What do you do when you're here?
Forget to update Excel sheets.
Oh, camera's on, my bad. Alright, as soon as he sits down, we'll do it.
Sorry.
You're fine.
This
It's
is-
still 7 o'clock.
I know, I like to show right on time instead of early.
Alright, call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda?
No changes.
I would look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? On to visitors to be heard. Seeing none, we will go to the minutes from the, let's say, June
Sorry.
27th.
27.
We'll start with the Board of Adjustments meeting. Anybody see anything that need to be changed?
I move to approve the minutes of the June 27th Board of Adjustment meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. We'll
Who seconded?
Me.
Us?
go on to the minutes from the Planning Commission regular meeting on June 27th.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second?
Okay, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Kyle?
New construction update, per your notice, I was missing the security bank. Building permit on here, so commercial should actually be 5 with a total of, and then 69 residential.
Two big permits really changed our revenue outlook and building permit revenue this year, so. Usually we budget for 35,000, right now we're at about 105,000, so.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
that's significant. I mean, the taxable value of the school obviously doesn't matter, so, but the bank does.
Yep. The only other comments I have, and I put it in here, just noting the June 2023 total permit values compared to June 2024. There were seven new construction homes last year versus the one for last month. And for my code enforcement update, I did update that today, so I got violations from June 20th to today. And I had 5 parking on unapproved surface violations, 8 for tall grass and weeds, 2 for inoperable vehicles, and then 15 for low hanging branches over the street or sidewalk. About those, I received a couple complaints about people walking on sidewalks and ducking over branches, so I've been driving around, I got about half the town done. And yeah, I should be able to get the other half done here in a couple of weeks, get the letters out.
Last couple days, we're actually seeing some progress on trimming. So First Avenue was trimmed today, I think somebody on Fourth trimmed today, so that helps.
And yeah, I usually do the streets every fall, just kind of prep for winter, so the plow trucks aren't hitting branches, and it's probably nice to not have semis and stuff, they're driving on the truck through first.
Fire trucks,
Fire trucks, another one, yeah.
What's the street clearance? Is it like
15,
15 or 20?
yeah, 15 foot. Tape measure that you stepped out, what do you?
I tried that once and I figured I'd look ridiculous, so
Telescoping pole.
it's kind of just bait, I kind of just eyeball it.
You can tell it's not 15 for sure.
Yeah, and sidewalks are easy, I think sidewalks are 8 or 10.
8 foot.
Yeah, like 8 or 10.
Any questions on those two reports?
Thank you. We will move on to old business ordinance number 652, accessory buildings and structures.
Commissioners, this is really the only remaining item we have here. I wanted to make sure we try and wrap this up tonight so that we can get it to the city council at their August 12 meeting for first reading. So highlighted in the ordinance in front of you are a couple of changes that Kyle suggested we make here. Took out the square footage requirement on the garage. Maybe Kyle, you can probably speak to these better than I can. We kept the definitions fairly generic and without the size. And part of that's because we went through this quite a bit beforehand and after the fact, and it's been really difficult to come up with a more clearly defined definition, I should say, of what is what. We worked with the city attorney on this beforehand and came up with a fairly simple definition here. I do have more to add on that in a little bit. Item 4 there, under 1303, is changing the setback requirement to 5 feet. That's a minimum requirement under the 2021 residential code. Number 5, distances between the buildings. Again, that's a residential code requirement. And then 7 and 15 were changed to reflect more what 7 was accidentally removed. We need to keep that in. That's something we talked about previously, so that was taken up by mistake. And then number 15 here is something similar to what Hartford has. And I don't, maybe you can talk a little bit, Kyle, about how Hartford, or what would fall under that in Hartford?
Yeah, so Hartford's, like the biggest one we see is if they want to, so Hartford's is if the accessory building is 120 square feet or less, you can have 5 foot off the property line. Bigger than that, you need to be 10 feet, is Hartford's requirement. Some people want to try to do 7 feet or whatever to get closer to their property line. We've seen conditional use permits for that. And another one is, and I don't think Lennox has this requirement either. So Hartford's for accessory buildings, you can only have a 15 foot high. So from the ground to the peak, it needs to be 15 feet or less. Some people want to go 17 feet to accommodate a car lift. Well, you need a conditional use permit, Hartford for that. So I just thought if there's something that, we're missing from this ordinance, bullet point 15 can be kind of a catch-all.
What's the size difference in Hartford between 10 foot off setback and 5 foot off that you said?
So it's like a 12 by 10 shed or smaller, you need to be 5 foot off the property lines. Anything bigger than that, you need to be 10 feet off.
Unless it has a firewall.
Mhm.
But then it can't have openings either.
Well, no, Hartford doesn't, it's
No.
10 feet regardless, yeah, I'm tempted to change that, but do you wanna keep it 10?
10 would be the minimum setback that we have between occupiable structures in R2. So it's a 5 foot setback from property line to 10 foot.
Yep.
Anything less than that here would require and you're gonna be a shared wall at that point.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a firewall.
Is Sioux Falls up to 5 foot now too? Or?
I'm certain they are in R2, yeah.
I haven't
most of
paid
us are.
attention. We put a garage up a couple of years ago and it only had to be 2 feet off the property line
Wow.
with the fire. I mean, we had to.
Well,
drive out
and keep in mind, Sioux Falls with International Residential Code, you're allowed to amend it. Yeah, make whatever changes you want to make on the local level.
Yeah.
Just like we used to have, we had, umpteen amendments to it, it's so hard to track and keep straight. Sioux Falls does have a lot of amendments to their adopted residential code. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of them.
Just especially depends on where it is, but, you know, in the central part of town where everything's so
Yeah, you got.
close,
small
you
lots.
can,
Yeah,
if you have to be 10 feet off your property line,
right,
you're in your living room.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you look at, the movement for, accessory dwellings, for example. You're seeing, move its way east from the west coast. And, accessory dwellings in a lot in the middle of town versus a new lot that's a little bit larger, it's a big difference. These other accessory dwellings are typically in an existing garage with an apartment up top, or something along those lines, so. Or a shed or something along those lines. That is something we're going to have to cover at some point with accessory, buildings.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the movement has not quite made it this way, but, it's in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. I would imagine Omaha, if not now, pretty soon. So it is something that we're gonna have to deal with at some point.
Yeah, I like bumping that up to 5 feet, just makes it feel more neighborly, I guess, you know?
I think especially if you have a fence, if you have a fence and there's, where's the fence supposed to be, a foot off of the property line?
You can be right on it.
You can be right on it, yeah, so I mean, then you at least got 4 or 5 feet of distance between the shed and it, instead of it being like right against it, and then it's notorious for issues then.
And if it doesn't fit the lot, they can get a conditional use, correct?
Yeah, if it doesn't fit the above requirements, that's when you have to go to the CUP.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to definitions, this is where we probably struggled the most over the last few weeks, just trying to figure out how do we want to, if we were to change this to make it more clearly defined, what would it be? And I don't have, we were having a hard time coming up with a good answer for that. Because I think the more in the weeds we get, I think it's important to remember that there's no such thing as perfect language, right? Somebody at some point may find a way around something. That's normal. That's when we make amendments, that's when we adjust, so on and so forth. I just thought about this more though, I was thinking about today, maybe it's as simple as the size of door. A minimum vehicle door opening is gonna be about 8 feet, 9 to 6 inches, right? Maybe it's that simple. If it's got a door opening of 8 feet or greater, then it's a garage. If, what we were getting into a couple of weeks ago was, well, what if somebody changes it? Next owner who moves in, they want a garage there, they don't want a shed. They're gonna put in a 9-foot door. Well, they're gonna have to get a building permit for that. It's a structural alteration to the building. They have to get a building permit for that. So we can deny it. I know somebody's not going to get a building permit because that happens all the time, but we can handle that with our fines and violations section.
And then that kind of changes the use of the building at
It
that point.
is a change in use.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Now, if it's got a wood floor and a 4-foot overhead door for a lawnmower and somebody decides I'm gonna put a 9-foot door in and store a car in there, kind of taking your chances, I think. I'm not gonna say it won't happen, I've seen worse ideas. I think Kyle has too.
Yeah.
Learn all kinds of stuff in building inspection.
So that provision would go in with the definition of
Oh,
garage?
garage, yeah.
Yeah.
Make it a closed shelter, for automobile vehicles or vehicles with minimum, with a minimum opening of 8 feet.
Yeah. Or do you do the other side and say garden or storage shed is 8 feet or
Or smaller.
smaller?
Yeah, we could do both, actually. We might have to say 7 foot 11 inches,
Yeah.
but, yeah,
And a half.
yeah, 0.99. Repeat.
Aren't some of the older garage doors 7 foot wide? I know
No,
standard
your
is-
standard's 9x7. Older ones are 8x7.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, I'm getting the dimensions mixed up.
Yeah. Anything less than 8, it'd be pretty tough to.
yeah, and really, if you're, you know, if you've got a 10 foot wide shed, you put an 8 foot door on there.
Not much, yeah.
You're not,
You have to
you're
climb
gonna have to
out
roll that puppy in there.
Duke's a hat,
Right.
go out the window.
It's a car trailer,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's the basic width of a car trailer, at least.
yeah.
So like for like an ATV or UTV or even like a motorcycle, I mean, say you have the size of the shed or the size of the door, I mean, it could be a smaller door than an 8 foot one.
Mhm.
So would that fall under garden and storage shed, or it'd be a garage, since I mean, I know it's listed here. But I think of, like an ATV, I mean, you can obviously get that into a smaller door than an 8 foot door. And I'm only saying this because this is something I've been wanting to do myself, is have like a storage shed that's like 12 by 18 or something like that, something a little larger, but, and I see that it's a concrete garage floor, or concrete floor, or finished foundation. And I mean, you go to like Dakota Storage and you order a unit, I mean, they can custom build you a unit, I mean, it's a wood floor. But I mean, does it still have to be like on a concrete foundation or like a concrete pad then? Or does it have to be like built and anchored into the concrete foundation, or, I feel like the verbiage is like,
Are you asking if we should have a certain size anchored? They're all have to be
they
anchored.
all have to be anchored, I see, but it's more like, can you get like a storage shed from like a pre-built one that's just moved in with a wood floor for like an ATV or UTV? Obviously for a car, you're not gonna do that.
Yeah, I
For
mean, you
like-
probably could for a certain size, but some of those UTVs are pretty heavy now too. I wonder if maybe under definitions 1A for vehicle, we say as motor vehicle under SDCL 32.5-1, which defines motor vehicles in state code. It's term motor vehicle includes all vehicles or machines, trailers, semi-trailers, recreational vehicles, truck tractors, road tractors, motorcycles propelled by any power other than muscular and used upon public highways for transportation of persons, property, or both. So we better define
Yeah.
vehicle, then you can get at, you know.
Then you hit them all, yeah.
I mean, you're hitting anything that's essentially able to be licensed and titled for use as a vehicle in South Dakota.
Right. So with the concrete, like the full concrete floor, that means the structure has to be built on a concrete floor without a wood floor, or like floor trusses?
Concrete floor and finished foundation.
Like what's that technically mean? So I think of a
Say
foundation, it's
built
like
on a full concrete floor and include finished foundation and footings.
when you say finished foundation, does that mean like 4 foot deep foundation, like?
I would
Or
consider
like-
it with frost coatings, wouldn't you?
You can do like a thickened slab.
Thickened slab, yeah, that would work as well.
Okay. It's where I can just see somebody like having those like sheds for those like utility vehicles.
Oh, absolutely.
And, but then they have to like pour a floor for it, but it might not be totally necessary. But I would think they'd want to, but,
I sure would.
yeah.
Yeah, thinking over that definition 1A, yeah, I don't know if ATV, UTV we need to necessarily include with the garage, because to me, the original intent of an ATV and UTV is off-road. I know a lot of people license them and drive
Yeah.
around town, but
Right. It's like, do you want them driving, like, if,
Under state code, they're a vehicle, they're a motor vehicle,
Oh, they are.
yeah,
so if they're parked on a lawn, would that be a code violation?
it could be,
Because that's where it's like, okay,
could be.
can park it on their grass, but do they, like, if they can park it on their grass, does it necessarily need a concrete driveway up to it?
I would say we're probably not as strict when it comes to like golf carts and UTVs parking.
Yeah,
around.
right, I wouldn't expect.
I mean, if we start seeing that they're heavily mowing around it, then we're probably gonna have to have a discussion, but, but if we use the motor vehicle definition, we can pull out ATV, UTV, et cetera, or we can keep it in there. It doesn't really matter. Either way, it's covered.
Yeah.
I think we want it to be clear for people that are trying to understand it, of course.
The only other one I wanted to bring up was the 50% of the entire property. That seems very large to me. I don't know if it should be less.
It's big.
I feel like it should be less. I don't know what other cities have.
I think we all have the same language in there.
Okay.
That's hard.
We refer to it as the CCOG language, because that's who used to write all these ordinances for us.
Okay.
But I would bet that Hartford, Harrisburg, T.
Your property line setbacks kind of protect you a little bit, because say I can get up to this square footage, but I can only get this width,
Mm-hmm.
you're still not gonna get an
Yeah.
excessive amount of building. to-
Like, yeah, if somebody wants to put it in their backyard, for example, we're still going to force a 20-foot rear setback.
Yeah.
Or a 7-foot side setback.
Right, but they could still fill up
They could make
the
a big.
majority of the
yeah.
lot, maybe only with a
Yeah.
shed more or less, or garage.
It's able to be changed, I mean, if 50% seems like a lot to everybody.
Then again, I don't think too many people are.
Brett's got
Business
plans to
use.
build up a shed that's 40.
No, but that, I mean, 50%'s a fair number.
I think it's an easy number to
Yes.
calculate.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of standard lot size right now up in countryside, 7,000 square feet maybe. Yeah, 7,000, 8,000 square feet. If you're going to put,
35
if
by
you're gonna put
100.
a 3,500 square foot footprint for the house and garage already, and that's already, I don't know how you do that up there.
Yeah, you're pretty much confined to a certain amount by the setbacks, you know, where it can't get.
It kind of protects you from
Monstrosity.
getting over,
Yeah.
it protects you from getting over that.
Yeah.
Easily. It's more the properties where it's like, just a property without a house already on it. And then you got like, I think it was just behind my place, there's like a 50 by 100 foot long lot.
Yes, there is.
It's like really awkward, and I mean, it's theoretically, yeah, you could put a huge shed on that, and it probably could overtake that 50% pretty easily.
This reminds me of the.
But I think the 50% might be more.
I guess that might be where I'm off, this is a secondary building to the.
Yeah, an accessory,
So it's not
It
necessarily.
includes your house
I
too.
don't know how many square feet.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so if your house already takes
It's
up
way bigger.
20%,
Yeah.
you know, you can only go another 30%.
Yeah. Oh, so this includes it, so I see.
Right. It's
No accessory buildings or structures shall not exceed.
Yeah, so it's them added together,
I see, wow.
not individually. Can't put two
Yep,
Yeah, that
structures
makes,
up that are.
you can't just have all rooftop.
Right.
that's kind of what I was looking, I was like, eh.
No compounds.
Right.
The only thing I can think of in terms of, you know, there are times where you'll see an accessory building that's bigger than the primary structure. We've got one at 4th and Garfield where that's the case, that was approved this year. It's still nowhere near 50% of the property. But just to figure out how rare that, and it's the only time I've seen that in almost 6 years. The house on that property is,
Small,
I bet 500 square feet,
yeah.
476 square feet.
It's still technically occupied.
It's still occupied, you know?
And the garage isn't much, I mean, it's not huge.
It's not huge, it's not
22
even,
by-
it doesn't even make it look weird,
Right,
you know?
but it's still bigger than the house.
It's a really good use of the rest of the property, quite honestly, because it's a big, long lot, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
could use a little more, so. Other thoughts?
So does this take from our last meeting, does it take some of that and basically mock up also what was there before?
I was trying to understand exactly what we were getting at in the last meeting. I watched the meeting again last night, and it was not clear to me what, if any, changes should be made. And that was the case 4 weeks ago, it's still the case today. And it was just, there was a lot of round and round, and it wasn't clear to me which direction we really wanted to go.
Yeah.
So that's when Kyle and I kind of sat down, and we brainstormed a couple times in the following week, and I came up with one version, sent it to Brett Lovren. Kyle came up with this version, which I like better. I think it cleans things up a little bit, it keeps a couple other things in place.
Yeah.
It's really just that definitions deal. And if we can define it with the door and define motor vehicle, I think that might clean this up.
I think if you get, this is the way it gets like in my job where you start writing specs.
Yep.
If you get too specific, then it starts like working against you.
Yep.
Contradict yourself with.
Yeah,
what
well,
it's
yeah,
saying.
exactly. But if like the other way, if you're too vague, then it's like open interpretation of everybody, and then there's loopholes, and so it's like riding that line of like trying to meet every need while also not messing yourself up.
And I thought about this last night and again earlier today, the whole intent here was to simplify, right? Just make it easier for people to do this and make it easier for us to enforce it. It's just, it's way too subjective, the way it's written right now. And in terms of, anything over 120 square feet needs to have a concrete driveway, I mean, that's pretty severe. It really is.
So is it something with like a garden shed, like with those motor vehicles, so like ATV, UTVs, what would they fall under? Would they fall under a garden or sorry, would they fall under a
They
garage?
fall in the garage,
They would still fall
under this
it.
definition, yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty clear to me. I can verify that with city attorney, but, I mean, it says recreational vehicles, and those are recreational vehicles.
That's my biggest holdup on the whole thing.
That would be separate,
Yeah,
yeah.
because that's kind of one of those things where you have a four-wheeler, say you use it in the summer, but you wanna put it in the shed in the winter,
Mhm.
or vice versa. Under this, you really can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that is kind of, I don't like that. That's a little too iron-fisty for me. But I do like the opening size, that definition, because then you're keeping cars and pickups and probably boats.
Most boats.
Most boats, out of the back shed. Stuff that really shouldn't be going back there.
Boats are not defined under motor vehicle.
Right, but the
I
size
just
of the
noticed
opening.
that if we're going to,
Yeah.
we wanna make sure that's covered, we're gonna
Yeah.
have to name that separate.
Well, it says or trailer storage. I guess that would be considered a boat.
It's a trailer.
It's
on a trailer.
I guess, yeah.
If somebody wants to take that puppy off the trailer and put it in the shed,
But I also think people should be able to, a lot of people have those little utility trailers, little
yeah.
things, I think they should be able to shove those in their little yard shed.
Yeah. Is it, under this definition, it would have to be a trailer that's able to be licensed.
Most of those.
Most
little-
utility trailers are,
Yeah,
not garden trailers, but.
yeah. But like your little 4x8 trailer that
Yeah.
you take branches to
12-inch
the,
wheels on it,
right,
yeah.
I mean, you still should license those. And, but some people don't. But I mean, to be able to put those in your back shed instead of just lean them up against the garage like some people do or whatever, I think that'd be, if we're restricting that, I would not vote for this, personally.
I would agree. I don't like, I think it's good to have ATVs and UTVs and golf carts and all those things like on a concrete foundation and everything, but I don't think it's like absolutely necessary either. I mean, they're small enough vehicles to where I don't think it's really a big deal for them to be parked. And I like, that's where garden or storage shed, I think they could fall under that, to me, but then it kinda gets muddy too.
I would guess my UTV weighs 1,200 pounds.
Is that your jump
Yeah,
Yeah.
4-seat, 6-seat,
Yeah.
4-seater,
well, 6-seater, but,
is it? On the back,
no, it's a crew cab,
is it?
so. It probably weighs 1,200 pounds. It's not super.
Yeah, it's not super heavy.
Does IRC define anything as
No,
far as
I
what can
checked.
be? Okay, I was hoping maybe they would say what could be stored
Yeah.
where.
Yeah, I think we both looked through it with a fine tooth comb, like, there's gotta be a they define everything. and
Cause
I can see-
commercial code kinda does stipulate storage of
Yep.
certain vehicles.
IRC doesn't have much for accessory buildings.
Okay.
Nope.
Thank you.
I guess my thought on the whole ATV, UTV, if you're parking it and you got a wood floor, I guess do it at your own risk, just leave it up to the individual. If you don't know the weight of your four-wheeler and you try driving it, parking it on your wood shed floor and it busts through, I guess that's your own fault.
I mean, realistically, it's probably the same weight disbursement as a riding lawnmower, you know?
Well, that's kind of.
Yeah, because you got longer axles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You can get zero turn and it weighs 600-800 pounds.
Oh, yeah, easily.
yeah, and that's
That's
taking up
smaller
half
footprint.
half the footprint.
So do you wanna keep it as just vehicle? And not recreational vehicles?
I think so,
And just say vehicle, cars, trucks,
Yeah.
passenger vehicle, something along those lines?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll use more of the size of the opening as to policing it a little bit.
And keep trailer storage on there?
I don't think you'd have to.
I think, yeah. I mean, some people probably put their golf cart on a trailer and haul it, but during the year when the golf cart's out at the golf course, they could have that little trailer in their shed or something, you know?
So on 1A definition, I guess I'm hearing that we remove that from garage and we allow it in shed.
Yes.
I guess when I was thinking of writing up this definition of a garage, I wasn't really thinking of the smaller trailers. I was thinking more along the lines of like a boat trailer or even a camper.
Yeah, but, I mean,
I was
that kind of
thinking
stuff's not gonna
utility
fit through
ones.
your 8x7.
Yeah.
So that would make sense,
Yeah.
to keep that, or you'd wanna park that in a garden shed.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I think you can just take out trailer.
yep, and not even add it to
And you just,
be,
if you have the garage door opening size, then it'll cover it.
so garage will be an accessory building intended for use as vehicle storage, with a door size smaller than 8 feet, door opening smaller than 8 feet, something along those lines.
Garage would be over.
Over, excuse me.
Larger than
Yeah, 8 foot or larger.
Yeah,
Garden or storage shed, would be the same as it is now, and, equal to or less than 8 foot.
no.
Less than 8 foot.
foot.
We'll do less than 8 foot.
8 foot wide or 8 foot wide?
Yeah. There'll be a lot of custom orders for 7'11" garage doors.
More power to them.
And it's a garage door, it's not like a double open door, like,
You
Well,
could,
even if, yeah,
like the old style.
yeah, right? Cause I know that's just like how a lot of those yard sheds are.
Mhm.
And I can see somebody, again, making one that has an 8 foot door.
They're not gonna
The
won't
leaves are
make
gonna
them
be
like
heavy,
that.
they're,
Yeah, that's too heavy, they won't even make those.
What are they standard, 6 foot wide?
Yeah, usually
Oh,
that's
I
as big as they get.
I see, okay, I didn't know that. I thought they were 8 foot, like 4
Otherwise,
foot.
it's
ones.
too flimsy and,
Yeah,
Oh, sure,
yeah.
you just can't frame it right, I suppose.
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
Greater than 8 foot width for garage, less than 8 foot width for garden shed.
Nate, I was thinking for line 4, we take out the IRC, the R302.11, just, you know, for future updated codes, it may not be R302.11.
Oh, so we don't have to update the ordinance every 3 years?
Yeah,
Good idea.
just don't list, I guess, where the,
You could also say the minimum allowed by IRC,
you know,
we'll figure that out.
so I do know they do sometimes change stuff, it might be R303 next.
302.2,
Right.
yeah. Okay. All right, any other changes here? And if not, we get a motion to recommend as amended to the city council.
I move to recommend as amended to the city council.
Second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.